We've just dropped another free Excel challenge and I'm so excited to give it a go. All I know so far is it's called All's Well That Ends Excel and it's written by not one, but two of my all-time favourite case authors. But if you haven't given this a go yourself yet, I really recommend you pause this video right now, go and download the case and try it for yourself, because once you've seen this video, I'm going to be in your head. You're going to know how I approach these challenges, you're going to know what the questions are, and you're not going to be able to have that true, organic, first-hand experience of solving it for the first time. So head on over to FMWC UK to download All's Well That Ends Excel, as well as our other free case, A Right Royal Battle Part 1. Give them both a go, then come back here to see how I tackle these challenges. It'd be really interesting to see if you tackle things differently to how I do. If you spot anything that maybe I've done inefficiently, that maybe you found a better way of solving, please do leave it in the comments down below. While you're on the website, you can also learn a little bit more about FMWC UK, which is the home of the UK Excel Championship. This is our first year running and we're really excited about this competition. We're running 3 online standalone events in April, June and August, and the best competitors from each of those events will qualify for a live in-person final in London in September. The winner of that event will be crowned the UK Excel champion and will earn themselves a spot in the Microsoft Excel World Championship Finals in Las Vegas in December, complete with flights and hotel stay. Now, you have to be based in the UK in order to qualify for that live final and therefore the chance at winning that grand prize, but you can still enter this no matter where you are in the world. You'll get access to all 6 cases and access to an international leaderboard. Entry costs just £15 for the entire season. That's cheaper than a single standalone battle on the Excel World Championship. And you get access to 6 cases for that, as well as these 2 free cases, maybe a couple more free cases along the way, to see whether or not it's the kind of thing you're interested in. I really hope you go check out a little bit more about the competition on the website, try these free cases, but for now, I'm going to jump into All's Well That Ends Excel, so this is your very last chance to go and download and try it for yourself. Ready? Okay, let's go. So first things first, let's hide the answer sheet. This is my first time trying this case. I've not seen it before. It's also a draft of this case. It's probably quite near the final version, but there might be a few things that change slightly by the time we get to it. This case is written by Harry Gross and Diarmuid, who both have got, what is this? Shakespeare hair, I guess? I guess I've already got Shakespeare hair built in. That's really funny. It's called Dim and the FMWC team welcome you to All's Well That Ends Excel, and it's got a little warning here. Now, this is new. We don't normally have this. What does this say? There are some complex fonts which may frazzle some players. If you suspect they'll affect you, you may want to change the font. Let's have a look. Yeah, there are a couple of weird things going on. Ooh, yeah. Let's just take that advice, particularly as this is on YouTube. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can see what's going on. It looks like a pretty general setup. So we've got a little bit of a pre-show, normally called an introduction in these cases. William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare's royal fall has bequeathed on his head a state of victimhood. God grant a heady barrenness not advance, as his esquire thee will go thither and attempt to salvage his love's labours. A tall order, the play is imminent, and the queen comes thusly. Time may not be squandered on with this show. Okay. A challenge of 750 points looms with 5 point-yielding scenes and 3 onstage dares. So normally we have some bonuses. It looks like these are what are being called the dares, and some levels, which I'm guessing are the scenes. Looks like we've got 5 scenes, 90 questions, plus the 3 bonuses, and we've got some extra information as well. So we've got a casting card. What's this? We've got some IDs, some familiar names there, including me. Hello. Love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. So we've got Amber Johnson, Andrew Gigalunafitz, the founder of the international competition, Diarmuid, one of the case authors. We've got me, Giles, Harry Ross, Harry Watch, and Jack Kennedy, and Johnny Kennedy. We are the FMWC UK team. If you have any questions about any of this, you can reach out to any of us over on LinkedIn. We've got Katrina Anafika from the FMWC team, and Michael Jarman, the current Excel world champion, who is British but lives in Canada. So, yeah, good inclusions there. A robot, my kingdom for a robot. Jack loves OA Robot. I'm getting very distracted by this and not getting on with the solve. What have we got? We've got acting styles, focal ranges, and a focal range delta, which I assume this is just this minus this. Yeah, looks like it. And here we have a visualization of the same data. Cool. We have a witch's cauldron, which has got some symbols, which translate to ingredients. This is eggs, toe, frog. Yeah, cool. Oh, banana of Lana. That's a little in-joke there. Harry Grotter's cases very often include Lana banana, a monkey that loves her bananas. So there we go. I did recently hear that Eye of Newt is old time, just meant mustard seed. So no idea how true that is. And then we've got the questions here. Okay, cool. So we're just putting the questions from here rather than on the main case. And Burnham Forest, we've got Macbeth, who shall not be named, and Macduff. There we go. Nice little Macduff thing there. And we've got, what is this? Burnham Forest, Burnham Wood. Burnham Wood to Dunsany come, or whatever the true quote is. Okay, so that's what we've got going on. We've got 3 on-stage dares, which, because they relate to some of these scenes, I'm going to come back to them in a little bit, unless there's any that are really easy before we start. How many actors is the no focal frequency? Yeah, I think they need to do. If all the conditions, cool. Let's work through these. Scene 1, level 1, act 1, a comedy of errors. I'm sure this will be. A trumpet steward who must do about no thing, a shadow of a role, without dare ever proceed and thrust upon an appropriate actor. Shakespeare has lesson rules on cast, we need to fill them. The requirements are below. Use the casting card to find the appropriate actor to fill them. There will always be a single unique actor or actress to fill each role. In example 1, both Johnny and Giles can act with a focal frequency of 350. However, Johnny has an ordered acting style, so doesn't meet the requirements. Let's have a look. So we wanted 350 and chaotic. Let's just bring this through to here for a moment. So 350 on this chart would be around here. And we can see there are indeed 2 people, Giles and Johnny. And Johnny is ordered and Giles is chaotic. What am I? I am ordered. That cannot possibly be right. Cool. So, how are we going to do this? There's a couple of ways we could do this. We'll just use this as an example. One way of doing this would be to use XLOOKUP, given that we know there is only one right answer for each of them, one match. I think XLOOKUP is a fun thing to use, but we're going to have to use some Boolean logic for this. So, we want to know who has 350 in their range, which means that it's bigger or equal to their min and less than or equal to their max. So let's just work this through so I can show you what I'm talking about. So this has got to be bigger than or equal to this. It's also got to be less than or equal to the person's max range. And their acting style has to be equal to the one we're looking for. So we could then do an AND across all of these. That would cause us some issues when we're then trying to repeat things across. And we'll see that there's one true, which is Giles. Now, the problem with this is I'm going to try and do this one line per answer. You don't have to do it like that. You could use a data table or just build things out manually and copy them through. But we can use some tricks to make this work. We can't just say AND over the whole thing, because that will just reduce that whole 2D array and check every last value to do this. But what we can do is we can multiply these together. When you multiply trues and falses in Excel, you get 1s and 0s. So we get a 1 where they're all true and 0 otherwise. So we can use this to then look up a 1, if I remember how to use Excel, in this result, and then return what we're looking for, the names, I think, the name, and we get Giles Mail. So we can use that same logic here to break that down into a single thing. So what were we doing? So we said XLOOKUP 1, and then our first thing, we're going to put it in brackets, our first thing is going to be, is the focal frequency greater than or equal to the minimum focal range. And we're going to lock that in with F4. And we're going to multiply that by the same value, G47, is it less than or equal to the max focal range? And then we're going to multiply that by, is the acting style equal to the acting styles we've got? Again, looking in the ones from this one. And then we're going to give our return array as these names. Once more, locking that in. There we go. We've got Giles Mail for that. And we've got some answers there. It's not changed the current score, but I assume because this is still in the testing phase for me, this isn't yet hooked up to that score. Scene 2. Shakespeare the dullard. It's all Greek to me, but his syllabic meter has not yet baked. Biting thumbs would not thread the yarn. We must make haste. Shakespeare has not finished some of the final script lines yet. Oh, he does leave it to the last minute, doesn't he? He likes writing lines in iambs, iambic pentameter, where all the odd stresses are O's and the even stresses are X's. In these lines, how many stresses currently align with the target stress pattern? I recently heard that all Shakespeare lines can be sung to the Pink Panther tune. But heavy is the head that wears the crown. To be or not to be, that is the question. So let's have a look. So we want the correct stress pattern to be OX, 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 OX. And we have got different things going on here. So the first thing we're going to need is the example stress pattern. So we could type OX, 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 OX out. But I am just going to do it this way so we don't do more than we need to. So we need, I forgot to say I wanted the length of those. We want, what's going on with that formatting? That's quite big. We want OX, 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 OX. So the longest of these is 15. So we can repeat OX 8 times to get 16 of those. And then we're going to split this out into individual things. So we could say mid of this starting at sequence of length of this starting at with length of 1. That's how people traditionally do it. Honestly, I prefer regex for this, and I know people are scared of regex, they're not used to it yet, but this exact kind of thing, splitting things into individual characters, is really, really easy. So we're just going to wrap this whole thing in a regex extract, have this value as our first argument, and then our pattern is going to be just a single full stop, in quotes, with 1 to get all the matches. And we're going to do a very similar thing here to just split out these. Actually, I want those right underneath there, don't I? And then we can check whether or not this is equal to that. That will give us some errors at the end, which is fine. What do we actually want? We want to know which stresses, how many stresses currently align with the target stress pattern. Ooh, that wording is interesting. Do they mean it should be OX? Do they want to know? Let's take that off for a second. Do they want to know, is this an O? No. Is this an X? Yes. Is this an O? Yes. Is this an X? No. Or, let's see if there's any examples like what I'm thinking. This one, where it is the right pattern, XO, 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 it's just off by 1. So you've got 6 there, 7 there that are right, that's just off by 1. I think it's the first one. I'm going to go with the first one. So I'm going to say if NA, I don't normally like using if NA, but for this it will do, change it to false. And then we should be able to sum up all of these values. If we sum up the trues and falses, we're going to get 0. But if we put a minus minus in front of it, that will turn it into 1s and 0s. Or we could do 1 times, or anything like that would work. So I didn't lock that in. That's why that didn't work. So that first one should be 5, which it is. So let's give that a go. Cool. 18 minutes left. I have been talking a fair amount, so that is fine. We're at the intermission. Good cheer, an eye in the storm, a moment for floating brew and pheasant mayhap. I'm sure no regret shall befall us if this intermission is not used proactively. Act 2, an onstage disaster. Scene 3. For our scripting tardiness, a strong brew has invoked an amnesial mania. The actresses for Clothal, Letitius, and Atropos, the 3 witches, are trying to remember how many years follow their line. When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or rain? Badum, Badum. When shall we three meet again? That one doesn't quite work. When shall we three meet again? No, it doesn't. Dun 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 dun. Each which visits the blasted heath on a midsummer's night, where a periodic condition occurs. The periodicity of the conditions is provided in the table. That just makes me think of Megamind, Metrocity, periodicity. If all the witches are together now, how many years until the next time they meet? So we've got this here. Thunder's 2 lane, lightning 2 years, lightning's 3 years, and so on. So first things first, we're going to look up those things there, in, there, and there. Excellent. And then, does Excel have a lowest common multiple? Yes. Least common multiple. Lowest common multiple. LCM. So that should give us what we want. Yes. Okay. If we didn't know that that existed, how could we do this? If we didn't know that existed, we could use the fact that the example says 2, 4, 6, 10. So we could say equals sequence, let's say 100 values, starting at this and stepping at that, and just drag that across. And then, how would we do this? We would want to say first filter is going to be, we're going to filter this set of results, but let's start at the beginning. Filter this set of results by is number. I've got a weird thing going on my keyboard at the minute where it tries to type I twice every time I press I. Is number X match this in this. Now what that's going to do, let's just take this out for a second. So X match is just going to tell us where this appears in the thing. So it's saying 6 appears in the second position in this list. And then it's giving us NAs for the ones that don't appear. And so is number changes those NAs into falses and those numbers into trues. And then we can use those trues false to filter this list. So then we want to take this second list, this filtered list, and we want to do the same thing. We want to filter this based on is number X match this list in here. And that will give us a 12 at the top. And then we can just take, oh, it's happening with K now as well. Interesting. Take that first value. Okay, so that would work. We'd need to either slim this down to a let statement. If you've not heard of let before, then what else can we do? We could do a data table, which you might have also not heard of before. So the way a data table works is I'm going to pull these values over here like this. This is all based off of this calculation here. So I'm going to make this calculation here pull from here. And I'm going to make this be an X lookup from this cell here. I'm working backwards at the minute. I'm going to look up the level and return these here. And then this is going to say example 3. Cool. So now if we change, I don't know what's going on with this formatting. If we change this one to 31, we should get the answers to that. So this one should be, if we pull this down, that should say 132. Yeah. Oh, right, because I moved the things. Cool. This can be our check then. Now this is our check here, isn't it? Cool. So that's what we think the answers are. But if we didn't know LCM existed, we could build out a model like this, just to show you how you would then turn this model into giving you the answers. There's a thing called data tables in Excel. They're a little bit complicated, but once you know how they work, they can be really powerful for this kind of thing. we want to be able to change a single value. So we want to change this value here to be different things, and it will make this show us the answer. So you've got to set it out in this particular way. You've got these values here, which are your column values, which are the things you're going to change. And then your answer diagonally opposite there. Select the whole thing, go to data, what if data table, column input, because our numbers we're changing are in a column. And then you say what cell you want to change. You want to change this one there. And that should give us the answers. We've got the calc error, which I'm assuming is just because we've not got enough numbers in this. Yeah. And then those should all match those, which it looks like they do. So that is one way of doing it if you didn't have access to LCM or you didn't know it existed. A little bit more work, but it does work. Scene 4, Double Toil and Trouble. A calamity of potions have befallen the props department. The terrible trio were directed to put unique items in the cauldron or a simultaneous set, never for two to place the same and the other to not. We shall remedy the scene. For each row of ingredients, calculate how many are used by exactly 2 of the 3 witches. There will always be at least 1 ingredient that exactly 2 witches use. Each row in the cauldron corresponds to the games in below order. So we know that these are what we want. So I'm just going to pop these straight here. Awesome. We also know that we have a list of all the symbols. So let's go ahead and grab that. And I think I'm going to tackle this with the data table as well, just so you've got another example of how that works. So we want... This is going to cause us trouble now. Fine. We want a count of each of these in a given example. So we want to say what level we're interested in. So let's say example 4, and we're going to look at, oh look, there's loads of conditional formatting. And I am using it to ruin things. So that will give us the ones that we're looking at. And then we want to know for each of these how many times it appears, whether or not it appears in each of these lists. Can someone put the same thing in more than once? I don't know. That would confuse things. We could, if that wasn't the case, we could concat these down and then search for them in the concat list. But yeah, instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say is number search for this in that there. And I'm going to lock that to the row. And that's going to give us a false because it's not in there. These are going to get in our way. So let's just make this say 101. See if that... In fact, we don't need to worry about this because we've done it the other way. This was just as a demonstration. So that's not going to change our answers. So let's just delete them for now. Because we've got our answers from this method. That was more just showing you how it works. So this is going to be locked to the column. So we're looking for this value in this. So search is like xmatch, but for strings. And then pull that down. So this one here is looking for this in that one. This is looking for this in that one. This one is looking for this value in that middle one, and so on. And then we want to just say the sum of minus minus of this. And we want this to, what are we looking for? We want to know how many things are in exactly twice. So then we want to know, essentially count if this too. Except I've not made these an array. That's really clever of me. There we go. Cool, and then just like before, we can change this to say 51, and we should get the answer for level 51, and so on. So again, I'm just going to make a list of our levels. I'm going to have diagonally opposite the top one our answer, and we know that this column, the column input, goes to this cell here. So we're going to highlight everything in that 2D table, including our answer, data, what if, data, table, column input is this one here. We don't need to worry about the row input in this. We're doing it the other way around. That should give us our answers. So let's just go ahead and grab them. There we go. And scene 5. Medium. Our final battle is approaching with gripped breath. You and crew observe from the stands. O Lord and Overzealous fan near is too forthcoming in the intricacies of medieval warfare and starts asking you about scout formations in the current scene. What the diver was going on in the play? I will not be afraid of death in vain till Burnham Forest come to Dunsany. An enemy army is hiding in Burnham Forest, planning to attack Macbeth in Dunsany. They are all hiding beneath trees and invisible to the castle, so Macbeth sends spies into the woods to find them. Spies can see an enemy troops in a 5x5 square centered on their location. What is the total point value of the enemy troops? So a lot going on here. Okay. Right. So, for example, L24. If we go to L24, we're going to be here. So if we look in the 5x5 centered around this, we're going to look in, that's a 5x5, I think. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 4 archers, and we've got to look up here, and the archers are worth 5 points. That's worth 20 points, which is our example. Cool. So let's have a look at what's going on here. How are we going to do this? So the first thing we're going to want to do is we could grab an offset, an indirect of this here by this. The way that indirect works is you give it a string. So if we said indirect of B236, that's the same as saying equals B236. So we can use indirect in a similar way to say we want Burnham Forest. If we selected something from here, it would be written like this. So we're going to put this whole thing in quotes except for the cell. And then we're going to concat onto that our cell we're looking for. Excellent. So that gives us our L24. And now we need to expand this out. Now I'm going to use offset for this. I don't recommend using offset day to day. It is a volatile function. There are other ways of doing this, but I think this is probably the fastest and easiest for this exact one. So we're going to offset it by -2 and -2 because we want to go 2 left and 2 up from where we are currently. And then we're going to make the height be 5x5. And that should give us our little 5x5 grid there. We can then XLOOKUP this whole thing in our icon table to get our point values for each of those things. We're going to get NAs for some of them, so let's make our return, if not found, a 0. And then, nice and easily, we're going to sum that whole thing up. A little bit condensed logic there, partly because I'm aware I've been talking a lot and the time has been ticking down. Might go slightly over half an hour on this, but I have done some things in more than one way, so I think that's fine. But I think those are our answers. There are other ways you could do this. You could create labels here. I think we're quite lucky in that if anything had started on on B, then, which I don't think anything did, we would have probably had an error. So let's just show that, for example. That's going to give us a ref error because it's trying to get to one column before A. I didn't think of that. So we're quite lucky that it didn't do that. But then we would have had 1 or 2 that we would have had to have manually changed. So I think those are our answers. Let's just do these bonuses before we check anything. For how many actors is there no possible focal frequency and acting style where there will be the only casting option? To be held in Shakespeare's greatest esteem, perform this day on the casting card without a single formula or mouse click. Right, I think that's basically saying try and do it from this, which I think is probably the easier way of doing it. How many actors is there no possible focal frequency and acting style where they'd be the only casting option. So Dim, unfortunately, completely overlaps with me. We all know that Dim's skill set is a subset of my skills. That is a well-known fact. Is that it? Harry Watson completely overlaps with Johnny. Doesn't look like there's any chaotics that completely overlap, so I'm going to go with 2 for that. If all the conditions in level 3 occurred this year, how many years? So that's just the lowest common multiple of all of these, I think. Big number, big noise. And if all the soldiers move 3x their point value in rows, they all end up on the battlefield front of the castle. In their battle formation, they spell out a message. What? What? Let's make a copy of this. I don't know what that means. I'm going to have to read that again. If all the soldiers move up 3x on their point value. Okay. So, I'm going to make this, for a second, be an x lookup of... Where am I starting? B12. B12 in this whole thing, in this, returning this, times 3, otherwise 0. And that's going to spill because I've not deleted all of this. We're going to go over time, but that's not a problem. Okay, so we want to move everything up by that many spots. Is that what it's saying? Cool. Okay, so I'm about to run out of time, so I know I did talk a lot. Let's just... Oh, it changed to starting soon. That's not what I wanted it to change to at all. There we go. So now we're counting up. We'll see how many extra minutes this takes. I don't think it will take long. It's just going to need to think for a moment. So, let's see. This goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No 12s above that. 13, 14, 15. No 15s above here. 16, 17, 18. Okay, so they can't go further than here. So, I'm going to say for this, we're going to say if the row of this, take away the value of this, equals 0, then x, otherwise nothing. But we want to do that for this whole array. No, I don't. So 1. So let's see. So this is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So take away the row we're currently in. We want the max of that. No. Let's make this entire array start with there. Let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so this one should say if, let's see, we want the row of this, take away the value of this, take away my row is 0. Okay. And then the one below that is going to be 9 because, okay. So we want the min there. Nope, okay. Right, let's see. I'm actually going to make one more copy just because I think that's going to make it slightly easier for doing the debugging. Right, so I'm going to say row of this, take away value, take away the value, take away the value of this. There's got to be a good way of doing this. Take away the row that I'm currently on. So that one goes to -1. B12. B12. Why is that one? So that one's 0. Why is that one -1? Because he's moving up 12, so he's moving up to there. Cool. So if any of these equals 0, cool, I think that's what we want. Let's see. Wait, what? That's not how this works. There we go. I think I can see what it says, but this top row isn't working for some reason. That's right, because I wanted these to be locked on their row. There's got to be a better way of doing this. Oh, I think that's too low because that's where we started. What does this say? FMW. Oh, the bottom row of that C isn't working. Why is that not working? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What row are we on there that we're not getting? Row 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we should be getting one. And what column am I on there? Y. Oh, Y we got one. So said. $11. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, I think that one's in the wrong place. I think this one's in the wrong place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Because if we move this down, we're going to get that, which isn't what we want. FMW, yeah. So I think either something's gone wrong in the way it's been set up, or I've solved it slightly incorrectly. I think it's pretty clear. It says FMWC, and is that a space? I guess so. Space UK. That did take me longer than I thought it would. Right, let's check some answers. Let's pause that timer. So it took me 7 minutes extra to do this. I did go on some tangents and I was explaining as we went, so I think that's reasonable. I need to manually check this at some stage and see why things were going weird. Does that make this 36? 36, yeah. Yeah. Maybe there's a whole extra row here that I'm missing. I'm going to go check that after the fact. You don't need to see the checking of that. So let's see. Unhide answers. Oh, there's a sheet 1 as well. Clearly when they were making a fortress for this. There we go. Their image is based on that. That's very cool. Cool. Oh, okay. Right. So the answers are set up in a slightly different way to normal. So let's just say, is this equal to this? Yeah. So we want, are these equal to those answers? All true. Those ring binders are hilarious. Equals these equal those answers. When you get this case, I'm sure you will have all the points things set up and a neater answers page. But I'm still in the testing phase of this, so we want to know, is this equal to this? Looks good. I remember 1001 being an answer. And are these equal to the witches? Those seem very guessable, those ones there. And finally, are these ones equal to these ones here? Excellent. And then we should be able to just do a little some product of this column of D and F. Is that not how sum product works? minus F value. No, okay. I think they're all correct. I think those are all trues. Excellent. Well, there we go. That is how I went about solving it. I didn't read this curtain call, though. A deed demonstrated the fate's reel grows thin. From Eldrit's Heath to Castle Keep, 9 trials were strange and dire, yet all's well that ends excellently. As you like it, Queen Elizabeth doth not demand Shakespeare's head. Your ruffian efforts have staved the tempest, exit pursued by a bear. There we go. That was a really fun case. I think a couple of interesting things going on. Everything is possible, even if you don't know the LCM thing. You can do it manually or with that filters that we talked about. Got is number search in this one. I think maybe these are too guessable. I have to have a think about that one. And this one, we had to do some offsets, which I'm not chuffed with. There are other ways of doing that. But this is definitely the faster way, and that's what counts in these things, I guess. This bonus, I just need to double check. Probably the way that I was doing it was the problem, but still worth checking in on that. But otherwise, I think this looks good. I can't wait to see how you guys tackle it yourselves and see what you get up to in the ways that you solve it. I think on our last case that we released, people released their own solves within a couple of hours. It was really impressive to see how quickly some people were picking this up. So do have a go at this. I hope you already have had a go before you've seen this. And let me know how you get on. Okay, I'm back with a really quick little epilogue. I want to have one more look at this bonus number 3, see if I can get it a bit neater with the final positions. So I'm just going to get rid of the ones that I was doing before and try this one more time. So let's make a copy of this. I'm not entirely sure this is going to work first time or not, but we know people move by 3 times their point value. So let's get that there. And let's just delete everything from here first. So in B5, what I want to say is I want to offset that position from the same spot on Birmingham Forest by these values here for the rows and no columns. Is that going to work? No, it's going to give me values. So we can still do this. I'm going to use map, which is one of the more recent dynamic array functions in Excel. And we're going to need to create a custom lambda for this. But the way that map works is for every array that you put into it, you need to define one of those in your lambda. We've got one array, so we're going to have one value. And what it's going to do, it's going to look through, it's going to get the value 9, and then it's going to do some calculation based on that value 9 and return that in the first spot, and then in the next spot it will do the 12 and so on. So we're going to offset that place by that many rows, and that should give us these here. Let's see. Doesn't look like that's right, because we've got, no, it might be right, ignore me. I was going to say because we've got things lined up, but what we've not done yet is checked this against the icon that we're expecting. So those are all false. Let's find one where there's some trues, making sure we've got everything locked we need to have locked. There we go, already found a true. So there is an infantryman, or an infantry person, what's that, 12 below B6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfecto. Excellent. So now what we can do is we can filter that whole array, making sure we lock it, by this sets of trues and falses. Ignore me, there we go. But this is going to give us an error in the one above because there's nothing there. So we're just going to call that blank. Oh, we've left a little tree there. Let's get rid of that. And now we should be able to pull this all the way across and all the way down and just resize our columns a little bit. And we should get the final positions of all of the icons where they end up, which I think is just a little bit neater than my version before of using X's, whatever it was I used. So there is those final positions. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough as well as having a go yourself. And I'm looking forward to seeing your name on one of our leaderboards in one of our upcoming rounds. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.